What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live. Joined as always by my main man, Jonathan. What's going on, John? Oh, you still muted, brother. Got to hit you.
I had the mute button on my mic
Boy, you had all kind
hit.
of mutes going on.
Had all kinds of mutes going on. On top of that, I had the stream going on, so I could look at chat, but I had forgotten to actually mute the stream,
Ah,
and so I had you talking to me twice in my
even
ear.
better. Even better.
Oh
We like
man,
that.
in
We like that.
stereo.
That's right.
No, it's work has been a day. Let's put it that
Oh,
way. So I am
nice.
happy. I am happy to be here, relaxing, with the Pound for Pound family here. So.
There you go. There you go. That's what we like to hear. That's what we hope to everybody is relaxing at home and chilling. My work had been decent enough today, hadn't been too bad. Uh, Driving throughout the rain today, but able to dodge it. Windshield wipers working just fine. So a lot of interesting stuff to get into. Nothing super concrete, but I think we're going to have a fun show. So I think without further ado, let's just get into it. So we are, as we have been now for a couple weeks, squarely into the off season, and the fun is starting to swirl. Like the rumor mill is starting to really kick up, and we're starting to. It seems like every talking head is connecting the Falcons to this player or that player, or many different things going along. But one of the more interesting names that I want to talk about here in just a minute
Sam
is
Darnold.
definitely not. That's no. Nobody wants to talk about Sam Darnold. Nick, and look, Nick Bangalow down here is talking about Daniel Jones to Atlanta. You better knock it off, Nick.
Yeah, no.
I don't do not
Not
need.
for what he's like. What does he want? 35, 40
No,
million a year?
they're talking about north of 40 million for Danny Dimes, which seems a little much for me.
That is a little rich for my blood.
Right. And at most, if I'm New York, I might consider like franchising for a year and see if he can progress with Brian Dable as his uh, head coach slash offensive coordinator. But no, I don't think I'm. Yeah, Bradley Burnett says D Jones is smoking something. Yes, very much so. I think that he is.
Well, I think Daniel Jones' agent is smoking something super hard.
Well, I mean, look, there's a concept in the construction world that if they don't scream when you hand in a bid, you didn't ask for enough. You know, like that you're getting uh you're about to get screwing yourself out of some money. So
Mhm.
you start high, you work your way back down. Everybody knows that. That's a typical tactic in negotiations. I just think that the Giants were really hoping that he wasn't going to start that high, you know. But as they say in the biz, that's a them problem.
Yep.
Uh, so, but one of the interesting names that has popped up over the week is one Jessie Bates. Now, why that's interesting is that it popped up on, I think it was, I guess, IG, Instagram, maybe like an Instagram reel or
Yeah.
something like. But he was having dinner with Kyle Pitts, AJ
Hmm.
Terrell,
Oh yeah.
and Casey Hayward. Now, all three of those guys happen to be Falcons. All of them, including Jesse Bates, are all represented by the same agent.
Yep.
Uh, I can't remember the agent's name, but they're all represented by the same agent. So it's not completely out of the norm that you have that you have them all in the same place. The agent could have just been like, "Hey, let's meet up," and especially with AJ Terrell, technically in the frame of being able to negotiate a contract. Um,
Hmm.
they may want to get done. Who knows on that aspect? Then obviously Kyle Pitts, few years out still. before he can negotiate. But after the end of this year, he can negotiate. And then, of course, the veterans of Casey Hayward and, Jessie Bates, for looking for his big payday.
Yep.
So there's a lot to not read into it, is what I'm getting at. There's a
Yeah.
lot of reasons for them all to actually be together.
Like, I'm not pointing out any one person in particular, but I've seen it a bunch of times where, you know, fans of various teams when they see other guys from other teams, even if it's from like the Falcons and the Saints, if guys from either one of those teams, if they're like out and they like they feel like, hey, those guys should be holding on to the rivalry like we do.
Right.
99.9% of them don't. Some
Right.
maybe.
Some do. Like
Uh,
I legitimately think Cam Jordan wouldn't come here for anything. Like I really think that he really likes to just, poke and prod the
I
rest of
mean,
the NFL South.
yeah, and that's a possibility. That is very possible. But most of these guys, this is a job. This
Yep.
is a job that they have coworkers that they get to play against and what have you. And they're all contractors. They're all trying to get paid as much as they possibly can. So, like when they go out and hang out and do all this stuff, it's just like you hanging out with your work buddies.
Exactly. Like Tony Wright puts up, says the dinner because, they're friends and they're represented by the same agent. That's definitely what I want, like the main, focus of this, talking about Jessie Bates coming out of. Like, is he going to be, he's the top safety, in this, in this free agent class. Um, he's, the guy who, given the skill set that Richie Grant has shown over the past, 2 seasons, this past season being his first full season as a starter, he seems to lend himself better as a box safety or a safety that, plays closer to the line of scrimmage. And so if you're wanting a true center fielder, like Bates is one of the few true center fielders out there. He
Yeah.
has the range to, play that Earl Thomas type role, that eraser role, if that's what Nielsen is looking for. Um, the question is going to be like, A, how much money does he command? And B, is that something that Nielsen is wanting to look for? Uh, from my studies so far, uh, Nielsen, at least New Orleans played a lot of split safety coverages last year.
Mhm.
And so that's more like what we did with having, either safety being either up or back, depending. But when they had, I think it was Mar PJ Williams, I believe was their safety. I'm
Yeah,
not
Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams. That's it. When they
Yeah.
had Marcus Williams, he played a lot of single high safety, a lot of, roaming coverages. And I know that that's something that Jerry Gray has, had a good bit in his career. So I don't know if that's something they're wanting to implement. Like Bates definitely has the range to do it.
So yeah, and Dre here, he's like, I just say resign Isaiah Oliver, move him to free safety, be a whole lot cheaper than a Jesse Bates. Problem is, I don't. He's not as good as a center field free safety as Jesse Bates is.
Right.
Flat out, like he's a guy that's going to cover like the down low, and he's going to cover guys out wide. But if he was as good as Jesse Bates is, being a center of the field safety, that deep center safety, that's where he would have been.
Right.
Like he would have
Yep.
already been there. There's no reason for him not to if he's that good. So I'm not saying he couldn't potentially like play up to or close to that kind of thing, but that's just not been his thing. He's been a cornerback.
Right.
He's learning to be a little bit more of a corner slash safety now.
I
But
think Isaiah Oliver has found his niche also playing closer to the line of scrimmage.
yes,
He's Isaiah Oliver is a good open field tackler. He doesn't necessarily have the range that you would like to see at a free safety. Um, but I think him playing that nickel role suits him just fine. And yes, I would like to see him be re-signed as that nickel role, as that nickel defender. Uh, that hybrid, safety corner linebacker blitzer guy. I think he's definitely got a home there.
Well, that allows you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Then I was
I
just
just saw
going. I
that.
was just letting Willie Doc know that yes, we will be doing version 2 of our mock draft after we get through all the news stories. So,
Yes.
um,
But like Isaiah Oliver gives you the flexibility to be in the big, the big safety look
yep,
with three safeties. But then also, if things change and you need a extra DB, extra cornerback, he gives you the flexibility to be able to do that. He's not going to be, not to say he won't get beat, but he's not going to look completely lost trying to be a slot, cover a guy in the slot or on the
right,
outside or whatever. So he gives you that flexibility in that realm. But to say re-sign him, I do want to re-sign him. I
yeah.
do. I hope we do to a decent deal. I don't want it to I don't want to break the bank on him, and I don't
No,
think he's going to command
I
that
don't
much.
think he's
But
going to command that, but
nah.
I've
But
seen.
I want him, but I also want Jessie Bates and I want Deron Payne. Somebody said, focus on Deron Payne. I want both those guys. Give
Oh
me both
yeah,
of
no, no,
them.
yeah. And right now, if we don't, we're going to talk about it here in a minute. But if we don't do something crazy, we're going to have the resources uh to do that, to get a Deron Payne, to get a if Deron Payne makes it out of um what you call it, if he makes it out of Washington, because that there's strong indications that he's going to be tagged, if nothing else. Um, Speaking of tagging, the franchise tag window is open,
It is.
so they have teams have 2 weeks to tag any player that they're going to tag. I think our only taggable player is Caleb McGarry. I know a lot of people may not like to hear that, but I think he's the only guy that we have that is worth a tag.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But I saw a real long debate on Twitter going back and forth between a couple guys I follow on whether we should tag McGarry or not. And both made good arguments. Both one says, hey, if you're gonna tag him for 18 million, you might as well just go ahead and try to sign him for longer.
Well, I'm sure they will. Like they're going to try to sign. They're going to try to get a deal done if they can. I'm sure they've been trying to get a deal done if they can.
Mhm.
However, if it just doesn't work, it just doesn't work. Then that tag is there. You know that tag is there as a fallback. So I think that they would love to get a deal done where he's maybe making like 13, 14 million a year,
Right.
but just maybe get a bigger signing bonus, get some
Something.
guaranteed money in his pocket, that kind of stuff.
It'd be interesting to see because so far, this regime has had a chance, has had chances to draft what I would call quality uh, offensive linemen, in the draft, and they passed on them for other positions to later try to address those needs later on in the draft. So they must feel like that Dwayne Ledford can really coach these guys up because
Mhm.
so far they have given him a third round pick and then some third round. What was Dahlman? A fifth round
He
or a
was I
fourth?
think he was fit. I think he
It
was
might have
fit.
been okay. Either way, and then I know a seventh round pick in Justin Schaefer. So, with that being said, they haven't necessarily given Dwayne Ledford a lot to work with, whether it's draft capital or even free agent capital. So, they must have a lot of faith in what he can do, kind of like Tom Cable back in the day.
Yeah.
They used to just give Cable like ex-basketball players, and ask him to turn those guys into, tackles. If I'm not mistaken, Jermaine Ifedi was one of those kind of players. So it's
By the way,
definitely
he was fourth round.
fourth round. Okay, so you've given him a third and a fourth round, which is, eh, you know, uh, decent talent. Decent.
When was McGarry? When was McGarry drafted?
McGarry was a first round. I'm talking about
Okay,
the tenure of Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot. So
gotcha.
basically, what I'm talking about is Jalen Mayfield. I'm talking about Drew Dahlman and Justin Schaefer. Those are the three O linemen that we have drafted since Arthur Smith has been here. So there seems to be a feeling that maybe Dwayne Ledford, our low line coach, can really coach him up, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I don't know if what I'm getting at is I don't know how they view McGarry. Do they think he was on an upward tick this year? Because his pass blocking was still pretty bad. We've talked about that and documented that a handful of times.
Mhm.
His run blocking got a lot better. Running that behind that right side was much better this year. So are they happy with that, or do they think that he's going to eventually creep up and get better in the pass blocking? King 7 says, no, Caleb is the offensive big Vic Beasley. You've seen this mistake. We did that with him. So that's
Well,
it.
so I will say this. I will say this. Vic Beasley, when you go back to that 2016 season and you watch him and all the sacks he got, 75% or better of those sacks that he got was off of twists and stunts
Yep.
to where he didn't have to beat his man.
Right. He just could use
Uh,
his speed
he just
to
used his speed and
yep.
all that jazz. If you run across a team that knows how to
Handle
really
those.
defend the games and the stunts and the twists and all that jazz, he kind of got nullified.
I mean, he made they made Seattle's night, you know, living carnage because they couldn't pick up twists and stunts.
Yep.
So, but then anyway. Well, I'm not rehashing Vic Beasley. I just thought it was a funny comment.
Yeah,
On
but I'll
one
say
good
that.
season.
Yeah, but I'll say McGarry, like he has been legitimately good, and PFF rankings will tell you, he's not like bottom of the barrel guy.
Right.
If you put it, if we're going to talk about Lindstrom and say, oh, this guy's the PFF Vic Busley. I like it.
I want to. I want to hold on. I want 1 second, and then I'm going to derail your comment. Just like bunch of sevens. I wonder if you ever have anything slightly positive to say. You've been in here for a couple weeks now, which I'm fine. I'm glad you're in here, and I'm glad you're commenting. That's great. But everything you say is beyond negative. You're talking about moving. I'm gonna put this back up here. You're talking about moving a stalwart left tackle to right tackle, and he's been a left tackle in this league, and to my knowledge, has only missed one game.
Yeah.
He's not a. Yeah, that's just. It's funny to me that people at this point in Jake Matthews' career continue to still, try to think that he needs to move over to right tackle or something of that nature.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Matthews at left tackle is at the absolute worst is top 15 in the league.
right.
He's in the upper half of the league when it comes to left tackles.
Right, exactly. So anyway, no, so I'm like I said, not going to hang on that too long. Just it was about the third extremely negative comment, and so I was just like, okay, gotta say something just for a second. But yeah, back to McGarry. I think if you're willing to give him 18 million for 1 year, then you might as well try to sign him for a longer deal for less money a year. I mean, granted, the other side of that argument is we have a ton of money this year. If there's ever a year to franchise a guy to see if he can do it again before you
Yeah.
sign him, this is the year to do it. Because they said they're going to be smart with their money. They're not going to just go out and blow it all. So, if they only have like eyes to bring in like two or three guys or something like that and still continue to try to develop, then, uh, it's, this is the year to do it. I agree, Tony. I know he played right tackle, and I think he played left tackle his last year and in Texas A&M. I remember that. So I get the idea that he's played it before, but he's now played left tackle longer than he played right tackle. So
Yep.
that was kind of my point there. Uh, so uh, one day I'm gonna have to like get me and Tony Wright are gonna have to have a chat like
A
he's
heart to heart.
no about a heart to heart. He's all I love his like he has he always has a plan, and I love that. I love the fact he comes in. He is the not a he is the chat room GM, and I love it. I love reading his comments because there's plenty of times Tony comes up with something that I hadn't necessarily thought about. So I like it. Anyway, move right along to something that I apparently got the my Twitter world uh, riled up again with, and that's like Lamar Jackson to the Falcons, right? It's been
Yeah.
the fun, big, fun thing to talk about. But uh, every talking head out there is like linking Lamar Jackson to the Falcons, like, and the connection is because of, they went after Deshaun Watson last year, and all things being equal, Lamar Jackson has done more in the league than Deshaun Watson has. So what I got to, or what I saw today, it was this graphic right here. I don't know if y'all can
Yeah.
I don't know if that can be read real well, but this was a video that come across that I was scrolling, and I had to take a screenshot of it because this is I think this is from Fox's Sports. I think this guy's name is Nick Wright, I believe. Uh, but
Yeah,
anyway,
he is.
yeah, I don't watch him a ton. I see his clips pop up every now and again. But anyway, so he was talking about Lamar Jackson. He was putting up all these different trade scenarios, like for the Raiders, for the Colts, for uh, there was another one I can't even remember. But then he come across this one. Now he later admitted or like said in the clip that there should be a second round pick, but his compensation was the 8th overall pick, the 45th overall pick, so our first and our second, and then
Mhm.
next year's first, and then he later added next year's second.
Okay, so
So
4 picks instead of
four
three.
picks total, but a first and a second and a first and a second. And I thought to myself, I you know what? Money aside, all things considered, I would actually probably do that deal
That
because
deal, I
I
probably
think I
would.
would because you're getting in that aspect, you're getting uh a top tier talent. Now you're going to say, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, he's been injured." That's my concern for the past, 2 years. He's missed 5 games or 4 games and then 5 games. So uh, that is a concern. But if you feel like the injury history was because of him having to run, and if you take the 4 games that you had with Ritter didn't run nearly as much as Mariota did. So
Yeah.
let's say we have Lamar running like Ritter did, only when absolutely had to, not necessarily designed runs, right? You know what he can do with tight ends. Like he made Mark Andrews a household name.
Yeah.
Same thing with Nick Boyle.
Mhm.
Like you know what he can do, like you know what he does for the run game. So, and he's a league MVP who's went to the playoffs. Now you could say in the playoffs they that Houston made him one dimensional, took away his run, but that was a little earlier in his career. I think he's gotten a lot better at passing, just like any quarterback who comes in the league. Their first year or two generally isn't all that great. So, anyway, if the compensation is just like the draft compensation is just 4 picks, and by the third year you're back to having all your picks again, dude, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Well, they
Yeah,
gave up what 3 first rounds for Deshaun?
yeah, they gave up a lot. So like it again. If that was the kind of draft, I'm still not a fan of a team in our position giving up draft picks.
Right,
Okay,
and I
I
understand
like
that.
and I talked to uh was it Damsky
Yeah,
on the on Twitter, and I basically told him like the money wise, not worried about. We're not going to go back into the cap hell that everybody talks about
right.
by signing Jackson. It's just not going to happen. We are, however, we would have to give up the draft capital to get him.
Yeah,
And that's where it all depends on like what are they wanting? What are we willing to, what are we thinking about giving up? That's the part that I'm shaky on is not the cash part. Because no matter what, if Ritter balls out this year, this coming year, you might get one more season of him on that rookie deal before his agent's already like, hey,
yep.
let's start
And
talking extension here.
especially considering he's not a first round pick. You don't get
Yeah,
5. You don't get 5 years with Ritter.
yeah,
Not on a rookie deal. You get 4.
yep,
So yeah, uh, appreciate that big time, Willie Doc. He
thank you,
sent us five
Willie.
dollars. He says, good offseason discussion. Can y'all break down the time frame of franchise tags, free agency, and draft? Looking forward to tonight's mock draft. Franchise window is open now. You have 2 weeks to franchise tag your players.
Yep,
In a little less than a month, the 15th of March is when free agency starts. You get 3 days before the start, before the 15th, so the 12th of March. If you don't have Twitter, I would suggest uh, getting Twitter just for that, following like guys like Schefter and Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, because then you'll start to see starting the 12th is your legal tampering window opens. You can't
yep.
officially sign anything, but you can start negotiating.
Yep, that's how
And
you
you'll
get the deals that like literally they're like, all right, free agents open, and he signed a 7-year deal, and he
right,
signed a this
bam,
year
bam,
deal. Because like
exactly,
stuff's happened immediately
right.
upon free agency opening because they've been talking a few
They've
days
been talking,
beforehand.
and so with that being said, and then the draft is the 17th of no, the 15th of April or 17th of April. I have to pull up a calendar. Hold on.
Oh, the combine.
No, no, not the combine. The actual draft.
Oh,
The
I keep
draft.
wanting to think draft is in May. Damn.
Uh, no, it's the 20, 27th of April. 27th, 28th, and 29th, if I'm not mistaken, is when the draft is. Uh, so there's your big dates. The
Yeah,
next like bigger event is combine coming up. Then you'll have pro days. But yeah, it's the 15th of April is when free agency starts. The franchise tag window is open now, and you have the draft at the end of April. Now back to the Lamar Jackson thing. Bradley has a good
yep,
point. He says, "Don't forget, Blank wants butts in seats. He wants a packed stadium again. And bottom line, Lamar is box office. Only question is, does he go above T-Font's head to do it?" Now, the one thing I'll say about Blank and last year with Deshaun Watson, everybody's taking the Deshaun Watson thing and saying, "Oh, well, if they went after Deshaun, obviously they're going to go after Lamar." Like, but Deshaun had that previous connection with Blank.
yeah,
And to everybody's understanding, the Falcons weren't in it at all until Deshaun called Blank. So when Deshaun called Blank and say, "Hey, I'd really love to come home and play." Now, whether he did that to try to drive up everybody else's price, or if he really was like, "Look, if y'all can make the math work, I'd really love to come back to Atlanta." But see, to me,
yeah,
that's the reason why we got into that. Now, you're not wrong about wanting butts in seats, but I don't think Blank is the type of owner that is willing to mortgage a lot of, money capital, the success of the team just to get butts in seats.
Well, I also don't think current day, excuse me, current day blank. I don't think is a guy because you start going over your GM's head about who and about who we get and how much we pay and all that jazz. You're going to find it really hard to find competent GMs in the future. Okay, no competent GM is going to want to work in a situation where his boss is constantly going over his head, not letting him do his job.
I mean, just look
Basically
at Washington.
You don't want him to be Jerry Jones, even
right?
Though technically Jerry Jones is the GM, but you don't want your owner being the GM.
Really right. I was gonna say, like, if you want, like, I was gonna bring up the Jerry Jones aspect, but for a long time he was the GM, like he played that role, but also had a tougher time of getting like quality coaches, so to speak, or because of that type of deal. So my deal, or like when you want to get an example, like to me, it's the Washington Commanders and what Dan Snyder has done, or the Cleveland Browns. As far as what I can't remember that guy's name, who owns the Browns. The way Jim Haslett is that
yes.
no,
not Haslam.
Haslam, that's it. Haslett's the coach.
The coach.
Yeah. So Haslam, like he's another guy who will override his GM, and you see what that's done to that franchise. Yep. So I personally don't think if it's going to take a fully guaranteed contract, I don't think it's going to happen, right?
Right. Well, I also think I think that if Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith,
go ahead. No,
if Terry Smith, Terry Smith, if Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith really, really like him, I mean, they're like, this is the guy. Then I think they go to blank and say, like, look, this is the guy.
Oh yeah,
we need to know that we would really like to get him, but we need to know that we're okay to go talking fully guaranteed contract with this guy. Like then I could see it happening, and I think that's what blank is there for, so that when they run across those situations, it's like you basically like keep them in the loop. Like, hey, we're going to spend a lot of money on this guy,
right?
And what have you. I don't think blank wants, yes, he wants butts in seats. Yes, he wants to make money off of the stadium. He wants to do all that stuff. Right now, hey, Miss B. Right now, like, yeah, you could do the splash move, bring in a Lamar, and I'm not saying that's the wrong move to do.
Yep.
Okay. What is going to get butts in seats, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who your defensive tackle is, no matter who your head coach is, no matter who this and that and the other is. Because Lamar Jackson, if he comes to Atlanta and stinks it up,
right,
those butts are not those seats are going to get cold real quick.
Right now, because right now I know it could all change next year once he gets a full off season and back into the swing of it or whatever. But I'd be interested to hear what Cleveland Browns fans have to say right now about Deshaun Watson's like last 5-6 games he played, because it didn't look good. Now, again, that was the first time he'd played football in like almost 2 years. There's a lot of like actual reasons for him to look like that. But yeah, it looked rough at times. So it'll be interesting to see like what Deshaun Watson looks like going forward, because his, like you talk about, cap hit and cap hell. His cap numbers are fixing to start going through the roof. Like he had a cheap year this year, but going forward, I think it starts at 34 million and climbs to in the 50s. Going forward. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see. Yeah. So banners. Let's talk about you got that mock draft ready?
Let me get to that.
There okay. So I guess we can go ahead and move into the mock draft and see how that goes, because we unless you got something else. I don't want to like, because that was about all the numbers.
like that's all the rumors that I've really heard as well. There hasn't been, I think another, give it another week or two, and we'll start hearing more and more. Especially like you said, when we get like about about 5 days or so out,
Oh yeah,
that's when stuff's
it's
really
gonna
going
get
to
fun.
start churning.
Now I couldn't find the original rumor, so I don't want to like bring it up. Maybe somebody can chat can remember, but there was like a little interview that like had Justin Fields sounding like he would have liked to have played in Atlanta, and there has been like major rumors this whole offseason of them like wanting to move on from him because that's not the coach's guy, that's not the GM's guy.
Yeah.
Uh, and he hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire outside of his running, you know. So now, granted, the team is bad. There's many reasons why he hasn't looked great. Okay, but if he's available, because there's rumors that he might be available, and there's rumors that Trey Lance might be available. Uh,
Mhm.
so are either one of those guys blowing up your skirt? Would you just is it like for you? Would it be like a third round pick, and I'll just throw him in the room with Ritter and see what happens, or are you bringing in Fields saying, "Nope, you're my guy"?
Uh if we could actually make the deal for Justin Fields for a third round pick, I would take it. And then he goes in the room with Ritter, and you say one of you two is going to be the starter.
Right, figured out kind of thing.
Battle it out.
Right, because see,
And
Chris asking like, "What's the asking price for Fields?" See, that's the question. If it's a first round, say it's your
no,
eighth overall pick.
no, don't want it.
See, I have a hard time thinking because he was there at 4 when they picked Pitts. Now, granted, at that time it was a little bit of a different situation. They hadn't gone through the full year with Ryan at that point,
Hmm.
so they may have still felt like they could get something done with Ryan, which is the reason why they didn't draft Pitts.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 2020, right? Like obviously Ryan didn't work out for Smith for a variety of different reasons. But like I think chief foremost being he's not an athletic quarterback. So now if you have the chance to do it over again, 3 years later, do you grab, you know, Justin Fields for a first round?
I mean, if I'm giving up a first round pick, let alone multiple first rounders for somebody like a Lamar Jackson. Okay. And the only reason why you give up that many for Lamar Jackson is because of the what he's done. Although, again, as we've said before, MVP season great. Kind of hasn't gotten back to that yet.
Right.
Okay. Not saying he can't do it. Okay.
Right.
Not saying it won't ever happen. And I'm not saying that if we go get him that we're going to suck because we can't afford to do anything else. We can afford to do just about anything we want. The only team that can afford to do more than us is the Bears.
Right. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
We're number two when it comes to. So if somebody wants big money, they're going the top two options to get big money and have a better chance of it is Chicago, Atlanta.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Right. Uh, Without having to do a lot of the cash over cap shenanigans and like stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the most amount of money that can be spent this offseason is between Chicago, Atlanta. All right. So, at this point, I'm not giving up first round unless it's a guy that I know is going to be a star for us
And it's
because
going to be
that's what
like, sorry.
because
Go
that
ahead.
because that's what you're banking on when you draft a guy first,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
When you draft a guy in the first round, you're banking on him being. I mean, yes, if you're in the 20s and what have you, you're not necessarily expecting the guy to light up the world, but he has to be a starter, and he has to be a good contributor to your team right away. That is
Yep.
what you pay that first round pick for. Uh, Justin Fields has shown flashes that he can potentially be real good, but he still. I have too many questions about him as a NFL starter,
Right.
to say like I would for sure plop down a first round draft pick for Justin Fields.
Yep.
Now maybe
I,
Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot are totally cool with that, and that's a whole different matter.
Walt Dog says if Chicago was serious about trading they would trade him for a second round pick. I think a second or a third, and I'd be okay with it. But see, here's the deal. Like, just like when you buy a car, right? If you go to turn around and sell it, you may never get your value out of it, but you ain't trying to get ripped off, right? You don't want to take too much less. So they traded up to get him. So they gave up capital to get him. So I don't think they would take anything less than a first rounder. It may not take more than one. I don't think it would take a first and a second. I don't think you'd have to give them that. But if you were willing to give them a first, that would probably seal the deal. Because if they could have the first overall pick and the eighth overall pick, now you get your quarterback, you get the pick of the litter, whether it's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, whoever. And
Yeah.
then in the eighth overall pick, you get to pick like a defensive blue chip, whether it's a Gonzalez or what have you, you know. But as far as like Trey Lance goes, I ain't giving. I know that they traded away a lot of stuff, but I ain't giving no more than about a second or third round for Trey Lance. He's coming off a brutal injury
Coming
in
off a
his
brutal injury, and when he even before that, like at no point have I saw anything out of Trey
right,
Lance outside of like the freakish like I'm just gonna throw this over there because I got nothing else to do, and he's got a really good arm,
right.
and he's basically but like actually being a quarterback in the NFL,
Hadn't seen anything
nothing.
yet.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen
like
anything.
he had a red shirt year and then started 2 games. He didn't look
Yeah.
great in camp or preseason,
Yep.
which sucks because in that particular draft, Trey Lance was the one I was pretty high on. Because like he was the one that was like audible and making checks and all that, what you wanted a NFL quarterback to do. Like he wasn't a look to the sideline, get the play, run the play, type quarterback that was coming out. But anyway, speaking of draft, I think we're about time to. Oh, what you got? Did you do that?
Uh,
Okay.
like is Dre's like give me the two QBs Tony said earlier, Jacoby or Heineke.
Yep.
Like both, I would take either one of those guys in a heartbeat. As a guy to help for one, just to be a veteran presence, a stabilizing influence in the quarterback room.
Yep.
Somebody that can push him because they have started, so they have the ability to start. So he can't just rest and be like, all right, right, I'm the starter, whatever. It'll push him. I honestly don't think Ritter's that kind of guy,
No,
but
I think
just
Ritter
from a
being
personality standpoint.
honestly, I think Ritter's one of those guys being drafted in the third round was all the push he needed.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that ends up going. All right, let's move on into what brought everybody here tonight. No, not really, but still, that's what we're going to do. Let's move into our live mock and see if Jonathan's going to run this one tonight, and we're going to see if it runs a little smoother. So, remove that one and put that one up there.
There we
So,
go.
all right. So, obviously, we're using Rise and Draft again, going with the Atlanta Falcons full 7 rounds. Jonathan, if you want to hit start, this time I think somebody had asked last time if we could at least see. Yeah, Willie says, "Can we see the trade offers?" Yeah,
Yeah.
let's at
So
least take a look.
hopefully, like the last time there was some weirdness going on with the site,
Yeah,
our stream and everything that whenever those popped up, it seemed to freeze things up. So we'll see if that happens
we'll
this
see
time.
how
If
that
it
goes.
doesn't,
Yeah, so let's give it a
uh,
go. What happens?
go ahead and get started here.
All right.
Uh,
Okay. Ooh, that's a huge package.
that's a haul.
That's what she said. No, I'm just kidding. So the number one pick, their fourth round, fifth round,
No,
second,
it's first,
fourth.
fourth, sixth
Okay, this year.
this year. Next year is second, third, fifth, and seventh.
Ooh, man, that's a pretty good haul. All right, see what else we get. We got 2 offers. So what's the next one?
Yeah, no,
So, huh,
no.
no. So let's go ahead. Let's just go ahead and reject them both. But at least we got to see them. It was the
I
Patriots
would
at the big haul.
I would seriously like if somebody actually came to the Falcons and said, "Hey, we'll give you for the number 8, we'll give you this exact scenario,"
Yeah.
unless it was the Saints, then I'd say no because
Well, yeah, yeah. No, you
f
can't be
the
helping
s.
the Saints. Uh,
Um,
maybe Willie, maybe or not, maybe not Willie. He didn't say nothing, but maybe one day we'll do like one of the mocks. We'll take a trade, but let's go ahead and reject these two and see what we got. See who's on the board. Okay.
So we got Christian Gonzalez,
Okay.
Devin Witherspoon,
All
or
right.
Witherspoon. A lot of cornerbacks. We got our pick of the draft.
Pick of the
when it comes
litter
to
as far as cornerbacks go.
Yeah. So then we got Paris Johnson, Quentin Johnston, Skoronsky, Anthony Richardson. Come on, you know you want to draft him.
No, I'm good. I'm really good. Like I want somebody to draft him, but not me. All right. So we got Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, and Joey Porter Jr.
So let's just go ahead and say it. We're going to pick a in this scenario. I think the best move for us is a cornerback. Now, which one do we want?
Let's see. Oh,
Chris
has been on. Where is Keon White? Like, where is he at? He's 46. Whoo, that'd be a high price in the first round. He'll probably be in the second round.
Seeing a C or a D over here for the draft grade.
We got a couple of votes for Witherspoon. Here comes in a Gonzalez. So we'll give it another. Okay. It's a coin toss for me on either Christian Gonzalez or Witherspoon. I've watched more of Gonzalez, but I've heard a lot of people talking more about Witherspoon. So I would think I would take Gonzalez if it was me. You got any strong feelings one way or the other?
It would either be Gonzalez. I don't know enough about Devin Witherspoon. Christian Gonzalez or Joey Porter Jr. is probably I could really.
Now, I've watched a good bit of Joey Porter, and I like Joey Porter. I think like they're really close. All right, this is what we're gonna do. I got a coin.
All right. So, I do think Gonzalez is probably the best pick in this scenario, though.
Heads Gonzalez, tails will go Witherspoon. Okay. It is Gonzalez. Da-da-da. Just so y'all don't think I'm lying. Well, no. It ain't gonna focus. Anyway.
I was hoping maybe Van Ness would make it to the second round.
Luke Van Ness,
if Keon is, we'll see if we got any trades. But if Keon White,
all right, here we got LA. What are they offering?
Yeah, no, a sixth and a bunch of 2024.
A bunch of next year stuff. No.
Yeah.
A seventh and some next year stuff. I'm good.
Fifth and next year.
Nope.
And nothing but next year.
Yeah, no. We rejected all them. Y'all got to come with something better than that. Gonna maybe come out of my second round.
Where was this at?
That's a division. That's a division rival. We're not helping Tampa.
A second, and we're only moving back 6 spots. And then we get an extra third, another seventh, and then we got an extra fifth in the 2024 draft.
But you want to help Tampa? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I mean, not really, but
all right. Well, leave that up for a second. I want the chat to weigh in on this one. Are we gonna trade with Tampa? Is the first trade go down tonight? We'll see.
Let's say you chat.
Yeah, let's say. Oh yeah.
Yes, Nate McMillan did get fired.
Yeah, Nate McMillan did get fired. Yep, he did. Wallace says no. Wallace says no. We are not helping Tampa. Oh, Boomer the Falcon says yes. Let's help Tampa. Bradley says nope. Nope. All right, reject it. I got 2 nopes. Reject it. Move on. All right.
So I gotta see. There he is. I'm not even gonna listen to I like I like some of these other guys here. I'm gonna just make an executive decision. We're going
you making an executive? You just drafted Keon White?
I'm just drafting Keon White.
Oh man, John the power done went to his head.
It does.
He didn't even give the chat a chance. The power done went to his head. That's all right. I ain't mad at it. I enjoyed watching Keon White down at the Senior Bowl. He looked real good. I think he's a raw athlete that is only going to get better. He's got all the traits that you bet on. Let's see. Chris said, there you go. He says, that a boy.
All right. In the third round here, we have 5 offers. First one is for a third. We move back about 14 spots.
Okay.
A sixth, and then next year thing.
All right. What else we got?
We got all next year stuff. So nope.
Crap.
A third, moving back 1 spot, and a next year's draft.
No, I'm good. I ain't helping the Patriots either.
The Bill Belichick's come down to earth.
Yeah, a little bit. All right.
Nothing but next year stuff.
Next year. I ain't doing next year's.
Nah, fifth and next year stuff.
Nope. Bradley says no helping Shanahan either.
Yeah, no.
I agree. All right, reject them all. Let's go.
All right. Devin A-Chain. I know you big.
Now A-Chain is like if you want some lightning to go with Tyler's Thunder, I'm thinking third round is a little too early for a running back myself. So who else we got?
Andre Carter. He kind of really like his stock
his stock took a hit at the Senior Bowl. Tucker Kraft.
Yeah. Jalen Duncan. Okay.
Henry. Jack Campbell. 70, number
Jack
7.
Campbell.
Oh, yeah, like that dude right there is probably if they don't bring back Rashaan Evans and they're looking for a true middle linebacker, Jack Campbell is that dude. Jack Campbell is that dude. I don't know if the chat has really gotten on to Jack Campbell yet, but Jack Campbell is definitely a guy that you need to put on your radar. I was higher on Chris Smith going in until like the Senior Bowl. He got cooked a little too often in one-on-ones and stuff like that. So let's see. Zach Evans is a nice running back, but again, I think third round a little too high. Cedric Tillman, he's who you got? Oh, Julian, but we already got a corner.
I know, but you can never have too many.
Sure, you can. You got AJ Terrell, bro. So I'm leaning towards either Jack Campbell or who else is up there? Jalen Duncan, if you want an O lineman. I don't know if he's a right tackle or not. I'm trying to remember. My brain won't let me remember if he's a right tackle.
I mean, he could probably, if he played tackle at all, he could probably move around if necessary.
Well, the chat is not talking to us, so I don't know what they want.
Chat, what do y'all want?
Hold on. King 7 says we need a deep threat. Jalen Hyatt. So there's an answer. Xavier says, let's do it. Jack Campbell would be perfect in the middle, and he can actually cover it in the deep third. So do you want a wide receiver now, or do you want to
see? Wide receiver. Let's see what we got here.
I've heard some up and downs about Toto, the linebacker out of Alabama.
Yeah.
I haven't actually had a chance to really watch him yet. Willie Doc, yes, you need to step up your scouting game there, buddy. All right. You want a wide receiver or a
Well, if we're going to go wide receiver, the first guy up on the list is he's a Tennessee guy. Cedric Tillman.
Oh, Cedric Tillman. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Hyatt's already gone, I think.
Oh, Hyatt's already gone. Okay. So Cedric Tillman or Jack Campbell. We'll give it a few more.
I mean, if it's between those two guys, I'm going Jack Campbell. Like,
yeah, I got a couple votes for Jack Campbell. So let's go ahead and roll with Jack Campbell.
B+, man.
What? Whatever. That was a good pick.
That was a good pick.
Rise and Draft may not have updated their rankings as of yet. Even though I do really like their system. All right, what we got?
5th and next year.
Nah.
And a 5th and 2 next years.
Meh.
I'm not helping Jerry Jones.
Nope.
Screw that old man.
Okay. What's on the board?
So we got interior offensive line, so guard,
Okay.
guard center, what have you. We got Hendon Hooker. No.
No, Blizzard likes
Sam
our
Laporta.
Blizzard likes our Jack Campbell. He said Jack Campbell besides Troy Anderson is fire. I agree.
Nice. Yeah.
What do we got as
That
wide
could be
receiver? What do we got wide
wide
receiver?
receiver. We got Marvin Mims.
Ooh. Okay. Tyler Scott. We could reunite Desmond Ritter with his deep threat from Cincinnati.
So now, do we take him right now
Or wait.
at 110, or do we wait like 2 picks and see if he's still there? Do we think he'll still be there?
I think there's a good chance he'll still be there. Even if he's not, I see Jaden Reed is a guy I like, and Michael Wilson is a guy I like. So those might be considered, stretch picks, but I wouldn't mind them whatsoever. So
Okay.
go back to the all. What do we got at the all?
Offensive lineman, tight end.
Okay.
Another cornerback, JJ Skinner or JL Skinner. Sorry.
Yeah, he was really stiff at the Senior Bowl.
Garrett Williams.
Don't know much
Luke
about him.
Whippler.
Huh?
Luke Whippler.
A center out of Tank Bigsby.
Now he's another basically like Algier, basically.
Well, he's a little faster. He's a little faster
faster.
than Algier. I like Tank Bigsby. You could add Tank Bigsby to this running back room, and I wouldn't be upset at all. Scrolling down, see who else you got.
Oops. Sean Tucker. There's Tyler Steen. Don't know him. Brandon Joseph. Safety.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling Tank Bigsby. Let's help out the offense.
Wait, hold on a second.
What?
I could have swore Mims was higher up there. Oh, that's when I clicked on wide receiver.
Yeah, that's when you put wide
All
receiver.
right, so what are we looking for here? Do we want to?
I think we go with running back. I think we go with Tank Bigsby. Like Blizzard and both, like Chris is saying, look at the running backs, and Blizz says, I changed my mind. Tank Bigsby. I'm a good salesman.
All right. So
or
backs.
Hold on, who's that? Kendry Miller. Now, if you want another big back, Kendry Miller out of TCU is a big back.
Roshan Johnson, though,
Roshan, yeah. Usually,
based on
those are the guys that if we don't have a fifth round this year, so those are the guys you would get in the fifth. I think if you're going to take a back, I think you take one here, and I think you take Tank Bigsby. So, and that's the chat seeming to agree. Depends on how he comes back from injury, but yes, if I take Tank, I'm probably cutting Huntley, or at least putting Huntley back on the practice squad.
Man, that's just you put him on the practice squad though, he's going to get nabbed.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. I'm still taking Tank Bigsby.
All right.
All right. Now
it's like sacrilege because Huntley's my guy, man.
I hear you. All right, wide receiver time. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
All right, wide receiver Marvin Mims. Scott is gone.
Oh, who took him?
Can I scroll? Oh, there it is. Right after us. I mean, right after us.
Bradley Burnett is asking us about Hendon Hooker, the QB. It's not that I don't like him. I just, if I'm drafting a backup QB, it ain't gonna be in the fourth. I'll draft a backup in the like fifth or sixth or seventh.
I don't want to bring in Hendon Hooker for two reasons. One, I don't think he's as good as Ritter, personally. Okay. Two, you bring in a guy like Hendon Hooker, all you're going to hear is he's going to be like the proverbial backup quarterback of everybody thinks that he should start.
Right.
Like and it's just going to create nothing but distractions.
Like for me right now in this junction, it's either like in my mindset, it's either Lamar Jackson or Ritter. Like I'm not entertaining another like draftable QB at this moment. Somebody says Andre, the wide receiver out of Princeton. I will say this: I haven't watched his tape, but he had a rough, very rough Senior Bowl. And plus, I think he's way down on the list. Uh, so
He's got to be.
yeah,
I'm down in like the
I
200s, and
think
he's
that's who
still
you're
at
talking
Joe.
about there, King. So
All
for
right, so
me,
let's see here. Tight end. Okay, so we took a running back. We've got an
yep.
edge. We took a cornerback, linebacker. What are we looking like for safeties?
Uh, Jair Brown is okay. Um, let's see. Trying to see if there's any of these names that really jump out at me. Daniel Scott had a good week at the Senior Bowl, but I think you're going to be able to get him later in the draft.
Yeah, hopefully I would look at him.
Skinner was just real stiff. That was my only real issue with Skinner. He
Yeah.
had a couple of good reps,
Well,
but
okay, so let's take a look at some D line guys.
all right, what you got? Brian Young, Zach Pickens was a wrecking ball, and Carl Brooks was definitely a wrecking ball. Like I wouldn't
Huh.
mind Carl Brooks whatsoever. I liked him. Yeah, Xavier just said, "Did we check the trenches?" That's what we're doing now. We're checking the trenches.
Yeah, it
Uh,
hit me. I was like, I mean, we got a guy in
yeah, yeah,
Keon
yeah.
White, but we don't have like the big
You
boys
don't
yet.
have a Carl Brooks, like you don't have a Zach Pickens. These are guys that you could easily line up right next to Grady Jarrett, and they could uh, penetrate just like he can. Uh, they could give you like Carl Brooks. I'll definitely pound the table for him. Uh, he was fun to watch out of Bowling Green. Uh, Zach Pickens was good. The kid out of Arizona State there, the Nesta Jod Silveira, uh, he looked good at the Senior Bowl. Harvey's with me. He says Carl Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, I like
Ooh, Jared Clark.
huh?
Scroll down.
Yeah, but I think we could get him
We could get him
at
later, couldn't we?
161
Okay.
if we're really
Well,
looking to go that
if
route.
we don't take Carl Brooks here, if we don't take a D line here, I definitely want to keep my eye out for Jared Clark. He had a really good Senior Bowl as well.
I'm gonna go with Carl Brooks here.
All right, Carl Brooks.
Bam. All right, we got a wow.
Yeah, we got a little bit on this one
161.
because like we don't
All
have
right,
anything in the
so
fifth round.
let's look at what So we picked up Christian Gonzalez. I personally think that was the
Oh,
pick.
dude, that's home run. Pair him
Yeah,
next
that's
to
a home
AJ.
run. Yeah. So
Definitely.
getting him and then Keon White in the second, if that actually, and I talked to you about this on Twitter. Like I honestly think that Keon White is a guy that by the time the draft gets here, he's a guy that very well could be like
He's
late to mid first
yep,
round pick.
he's gonna test well at the combine,
Yeah.
and I think he's gonna raise his draft stock into the first round. He's already flirting with it, in my opinion.
Yep.
I have seen people that have him mocked as high as in the top 15. So uh, I think he's going to submit himself there. Bradley, I don't know if Zach Pickens is related to George Pickens. Not 100% sure there.
That would be cool
Got
if he
on the
was.
trade there.
So we got our fifth for move back a couple spots to for Dallas and two next year picks, fifth and seventh.
Yeah.
Um, and then move back like what 8 picks, and then a next year, next year's
Nah,
draft pick. So
I'm good. All right.
all right, so we picked up our D line.
Yeah, so if you just want to hit all and see where we're at right now, because we still ain't picked up a wide receiver. So that might be somebody to consider, something to consider. Who's out there?
Trey Palmer,
Now that
Michael
Michael
Wilson.
Wilson, like he really opened up my eyes at the Senior Bowl. I think uh had he had better quarterback play at Stanford, he
Yeah.
would be up a lot higher.
Okay.
Uh Dr. Ganja, so far we have drafted
Right here.
Christian Gonzalez, Keon White, Jack Campbell, Tank Bigsby, and Carl Brooks,
Yep.
respectively. For me, it is like if bingo. I was about to say, uh, Mingo, Jonathan Mingo. If we go wide receiver here, it's either Michael Wilson or Jonathan Mingo for me.
Yeah, I saw Mingo pop up.
Yeah,
I will, Dr. Ganja here. I see Carl Brooks. It's a good draft already.
there you go. That's what I like. That's what I like to see.
All right, so let's. So we got this down to Michael Wilson, Jonathan Mingo.
Right.
Uh, I see one vote for Mingo. Does
Yeah.
anybody
So
else
far,
have any comments as to who they would rather have, whether it's Jonathan Mingo or Michael Wilson?
let's see. Nobody's popping up anything, so we'll flip a coin.
All right,
Heads is Bingo, tails is uh
Michael Wilson.
Wilson. Okay.
Yep.
It's heads for Bingo. So go ahead and grab Jonathan Bingo. No, I didn't I haven't watched Troy Palmer yet, Bash. He's a guy who I'm is on my list. So by maybe next community draft, maybe I'll have a better look on him. Let's see.
Down to our last two picks in the 7th round.
Look, somebody also said, "What's up with the talk about Sam Darnold to Atlanta?" I don't know. I don't know who started that mess, but they can stop that mess. I don't need that mess. That bad juju.
I can see him if you're gonna bring him in, he's your backup.
Yeah, like you
That's
clearly state that he's your backup.
yes.
Doctor, you are correct. Wilson did have a really good. There's always guys who like get on my radar at the Senior Bowl,
Mhm.
and last year it was D'Angelo Malone, which we drafted. This year it was Michael Wilson. Looked really good. All right, what are we looking like here?
All right, so we're here. We had no trade
No trades.
no trade offers.
Okay.
Um, so we're going to take a look at offensive tackles here.
Okay.
We haven't taken an O lineman the entire
Yeah.
draft. So we got Nick Saldivieri.
Okay.
You get to this point in the draft with these guys.
I'm about to say,
like,
look, I ain't gonna know
what?
any of these names. Go ahead and scroll down. Let me see if I know one of them.
You don't know Ryan Swoboda?
I do not know Ryan Sabota.
Man, you call yourself a content creator these days.
Yeah, I know, right? Call myself a guy who scouts football talent. Nope.
Take a swing
No,
at that
sir.
name.
Chris, I know you in chat still. What's that guy's name?
Mala Sala
Go ahead. Go ahead. Offend everybody. Offend everybody by
Laula.
Blizz says Jerome
Draft
Carvin. Was there a Jerome Carvin?
Right here.
Yeah. He says he said pick him. That's a big dude, LOL. Chris didn't even try. He said draft the duck. I think Bradley just like face planted on the keyboard there.
Nice.
Right.
I can imagine people in the draft rooms when it comes to the 7th round. That's about how they feel. They're just like, oh my god, let's get this over with. Who's left on the board? Just pick them. We don't care. It's the 7th round, man.
Willie Doc says, but I did stay in a Holiday Inn.
There you go. Yep.
Chris says on TV they call him Big Sala or Big Sal. So we'll
nice.
All right. Give me with the all. Who's just the highest rated person at this juncture?
Tight end. Davis
Allen. Okay. If you want to know the edge guy, Diaby was okay. Another corner.
Blackman. Daniel Scott, safety.
If you want a safety, Daniel Scott had a good Senior Bowl. All right, but it looks like Carvin is getting the pick. The guy the O lineman out of Tennessee. I got a couple of Carvins. So if you want Jerome Carvin, all right, perfect.
We got our last pick coming up here in just a few.
We'll see who's there.
Jared Clark.
Ooh. I like that. I like that a lot. Jared Clark was very fun. another explosive 3 tech. Don't necessarily
All right.
need another one by any stretch of the imagination. He,
Uh, let's
who's
see.
let's see.
Daniel Clark. Who's Daniel Clark? Or
There's
Daniel
Daniel
Scott?
Scott. Oh,
What
go
is it?
down, go down, go down. If you want to add to our linebacker room, the guy right there, Aubrey Miller. Aubrey Miller Jr. That dude was absolutely uh like eye popping at I think it was the East West Shrine game. Uh or if you want another edge, Lonnie Phillips.
Like
Like
Phelps.
yeah, Phelps or whatever that is. Yeah. He's a dude who was a lot of fun at the Senior Bowl. He would be just like a uh DPR, like a designated pass rusher.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Aubrey is definitely a thumper. James Williams got about as excited as I did when he saw Jared Clark up there at the very top.
Here's what I'll say. The only guy I really know out of these guys, to be completely honest, is Jared Clark, and he look, and from what I've seen, he looks real good.
Yeah,
So I will never say no to more
defensive
ammo
line help.
on that defensive line.
Now, I will say that Dr. Ganja does bring up a good point. Is the Hunter Lukev, the number 200, 3 down.
Lipke.
Lupke, he's a halfback, fullback, tight end. If you want like somebody to really push Parker Hesse, uh, he's
So
your guy there.
I can
But
see them. I can see them really liking this guy because,
oh yeah,
like
the versatility.
if he's a guy that can legitimately do those three things at the NFL level, it's one thing to do it at college.
Yep.
You do all three at the NFL level, then that makes you an extremely valuable asset, especially on a back of the draft kind of guy like this.
Right. So I don't know. I'm good with Clark. I'm good with Aubrey, and I'm good with Lucetta. So the next name wins, so to speak.
All right,
In
so
chat.
let's see. We got Clark or Phillips or Phelps.
Yeah, Lonnie Phelps.
Let's see.
Bradley says give him a tool guy like Hunter.
Yeah.
All right, do it just for
So
fun.
okay. So let's go. We'll say Jared Clark or Hunter. Flip your coin, sir.
All right, heads or tails. Heads is Clark. Tails is Hunter.
All right.
Heads again. Heads 3 times in a row.
And so who is that again?
Clark. That was Jared Clark. We're adding to that D line. We're gonna help that D line out. There it is, folks. There's our second community mock draft. So we came away with Christian Gonzalez, Keon White, Jack Campbell, Tank Bigsby, Carl Brooks, Jonathan Mingo, Jerome Carvin, and Jared Clark. That's a solid draft, in my opinion.
That is a very solid draft.
You got to save that, Jonathan. Make sure we get that on the
Oh yeah,
on the page.
I'm gonna get that sent out here very
There you
soon.
go.
Go away.
Just like you can do the Windows like snippet tool and just
Oh yeah, I just want to like it doesn't quite
get everybody.
Yeah, hold on, let me try something.
Oh, we'll figure that out after the stream.
There we go.
There you go.
I mean,
there you go.
You may not be able to see it all that well, but this all will allow me to do this stuff.
Yeah, it'll work out well. Awesome. Well, that was I think that was a good draft. I like that draft. That draft worked out real well, and I'm be interested to see like how these like change as we get closer to the draft after free agency hits. Like, what is the what does the chat end up changing and going through?
Yeah, because I mean, if we go and get a guy like Byron Murphy, cornerback or whatever, then does that really do
you start looking at
Christian
somebody
Gonzalez?
Right, like a Tyree Wilson, or do we really then consider, oh well, let's trade back and see what we get? So, like I think like the night of the first round, I want to like repost all of them that we have, and just see how they have changed over the time.
Oh, it's gonna look so different.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I think it's gonna be great. Well, man, I think that we have done a good thing. We have done another good show. I appreciate all y'all who have stuck in here with us through this this mock draft. The ones who commented, we appreciate all y'all. I hope
Absolutely.
y'all really liked that Madden video I put out yesterday. That's something I'm going out on a limb there, doing something completely different. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. We got a couple videos coming out again this week. Uh, not I don't we don't have a video coming out tomorrow, but we got one coming out Thursday and Friday. So make sure y'all check those out, especially the Thursday one. It's going to be an interactive, type video with something for y'all to vote on and get involved with. So
Yep.
definitely check that out. As always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Jonathan?
I just want to say, if this, just like every season says, if this is real, I think we kind of won the draft. I agree. Uh, but you can always catch me at Jonathan M Holder. Come say hi.
That's right.
And we'll be seeing the mock draft up here in just a few minutes.
There you go. As always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.